this day and age, if you prioritize physical fitness and you carry yourself in a confident manner and you're sure of yourself and you have a good passion and purpose and you can align all those together, you are uncommon.
Welcome to the Think Uncommon podcast. I am here today with our guest, Ethan Albrecht. Ethan has a great story to talk to us about how resilience can form early on in your life. Ethan, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Joe.
Now, Ethan, you were recommended to me by a previous guest, Andrew Walker. Andrew has spoken quite highly of you. How does it feel to have someone who speaks like that about you and recommends you in such high regard?
It's pretty cool to have an impact like that. You always hope to have a positive impact on people around you and people that you work with and things like that. And it really says a lot about what he thinks about me to even consider talking to you. And the fact that I'm in front of you is pretty special.
Yeah, it absolutely is. You know, one of the things that I notice these days are close friendships where there's loyalty and such high regard are becoming harder to come across. And when Andrew just mentions you off the cuff, out of the clear blue sky, and says, you need to talk to Ethan, he's amazing, I thought, all right, these guys clearly have a good relationship.
Him and my boss, Jeff, I met at the gym that I used to personal train at, and they just thought I was a little psycho there. And like things in his lens from a physical aspect, I've had a good impression on him.
So let me clarify that psycho. I'm a CrossFitter and a David Goggins fan, so quite often I'm referred to as a little bit on the outer or a little bit on the crazy side, but I've never quite been called psycho. So talk to me about what your average day looks like where people would look at you and go, yeah, he's a little bit different to me.
Uh, they have like stories where I think they called me like Terminator or something like that because like in full disclosure, I'm basically doing like a CrossFit, or I've always really liked the hybrid style of training. Back on like probably 10 years ago, read Alex Vaeda's book with hybrid training, and I've always been really interested in that. And so you're just kind of getting in your zone and you're pushing some of these workouts, and it's at a commercial gym where people don't usually work out with like that capacity, especially it was more of a physique oriented gym. So you got your power lifters that are taking 5 minute rests, and you got your bodybuilders that are, all juiced up and just getting swole. And then I've always just kind of had a different mentality, and I sweat a lot. So I think that I don't have that going for me as well. It's a real it's a real double-edged sword. Like it's good in some capacity from like the detox effect and everything like that. But yeah, it's a little uncomfortable. It's actually kind of embarrassing at like commercial gyms, and like I used to train at Orange Theory, and that it when I'm running on the treadmill and sweat's hitting the treadmills next to me from my arm swing, I feel it's kind of low-key embarrassing.
Oh, gosh. Meanwhile, you're there going, I'm just trying to work out. Just give me a
Yeah,
gap
yeah.
between
I'm
the
just
treadmills.
just
You'll be
working out.
fine.
Like, we got these new treadmills. Let's see if this thing can go. It goes 15. Let's test it out and let her rip.
And let me guess, you're running 15 like a gazelle. You know, where everybody else is running 7, you're doing 15 like it's nothing.
It's I don't think it looks like quite like a gazelle. I always feel like a semi Clydesdale. Like like it's heavy.
So we're hearing the
I
thump every time Ethan hits the treadmill.
yeah, I meant to push the plow, but I sure try to sound like a gazelle.
So are you the one that we can hear walking upstairs when you're in a two-story house?
Sometimes, yeah, I've been told that.
I can always
just
tell where
just
my
when you're
son is.
running though, it's like really when you're running and you're like really trying to get that force and stuff. I'm not a super elegant runner, but I try it.
So no gazelles, but plenty of performance.
uh, I wouldn't say crazy performance, but I try to have a good output for me.
So it sounds like there's a little bit of humility there because when I spoke to Andrew, he was pretty much bragging about your physical capacity and how fabulous what you can do is. So I don't know, there might be a little bit of false sense of humility. And I'm just going to ask you, talk to me about what you have achieved from a physical perspective, especially about something that Andrew might have talked to me about.
Um, yeah, I mean, so throughout this time, personal training and teaching classes and things like that, I've always kind of been a little ADHD, so I tend to find a lot of solace in physically exerting yourself, and even from the mental aspect, as I was going through school and um, trying to become a physical therapist and everything. I was always trying to do little competitions here and there,
Mhm.
and so I never really like dove into training like really crazy. I'm just kind of doing these competitions just to have a little bit of a platform to push myself and something to train for. Um, so I did some like throughout school. We did a pump and run, which I really like those races because
Mhm.
you do your 30. You can do up to 30 reps on your bench press with your body weight, and they cap you at 30. So I
Right.
made sure I got my 30, and then you do a 5K. And so every rep you do is something astronomical, like 30 seconds off your time. So you could theoretically, you could do 30 reps in a 15-minute 5K and you'd have a zero time. Obviously, I had like a 5-minute time because I did my 30 reps and then ran right around 19 minutes. So I've done an 8 mile race in 51 minutes. Did my Hyrox. I started to really gravitate towards the Hyrox because and these functional fitness races because I thought that's such a great way to build a good engine that translates
Mm.
to all the fun stuff that you want to do afterwards. And I've found the training to be really exciting while you're doing it, as
Mhm.
exciting as training can get.
I'm
So,
thinking, I'm clearly missing something. You use the word exciting and training in the same sentence. That's not exactly what I experience.
well, like the physical performance you get to and getting there is like the exciting part and like getting done and the feeling afterwards. But it definitely is like a decent amount of hurt during, but it's that good old type 2 fun.
Excellent. I was thinking that when I'm about to pass out after a CrossFit workout, I'm actually supposed to be excited and I'm missing something. So it's okay if I fall on the floor exhausted, sweating, can't breathe.
Yeah, after the recovery and then all those endorphins are
All the
flowing and
endorphins kicking.
stuff.
Now we're excited and we're happy. That was easy. What are we worried about?
Yeah. So when we did the High Rocks, I signed up to do the individual. I did the individual, and I for my in my first one I got top 10. I was around 6 or 7, right in there in 64 minutes. Uh, but then had a quick break, and then I did it with my coworker Kylie, and we did the partner one, and then I go, you go, back and forth, and I was hurting 3/4 of the way through that as you're getting to that
3/4 of the way through
14
the first
kilometer.
one or the second one?
What's that?
3/4 of the way through the individual one or the partner one?
Through the partner one because I that much running on that hard of a surface, and you're just pushing it as hard as you possibly can, like fifth gear, pretty much the whole time, and just it's kind of like doing a long trail run. You had little cramps here and there, and just keep running, it'll buff out.
It'll pass, it'll pass, it'll pass. I'm
Yeah.
not broken. I'm going to keep running. So, for those of you who don't know what Hyrox is, I've got an image that I've popped in between Ethan and I to give you an example of exactly what this obliterating event is all about. Now, I'm going to say, I'm going to admit that I have never done a Hyrox, and as Ethan and I were talking, I did confirm that I'm about to do my first one in July this year. And in training for Hyrox as a person who's not unfit, but I'm definitely not in my 30s like you are, there's a lot that goes on in the prep. So for you to say that you did a Hyrox event on your own, you did it around the 60-minute mark, first of all, is huge. So let's just clarify that is huge. To do it around the 60-minute mark, to not be first at 60 minutes just gives you an indication as to exactly how much fitness is involved to be able to complete this event. And then you backed it up on the same day after exhausting yourself and went and did a doubles event.
Yep. You know, just when you're doing fitness stuff, you kind of have like the WWJD for the Christian side of things. You kind of sometimes what would Goggins do in this scenario? That's kind of like the well, I'm already traveling down to Vegas. I might as well sign up for two of them, and that's kind of the mentality I've always had. And just
I
sign
love
up
it.
for it, and you'll deal with the consequences later.
So that's what we call the all-in mentality, right? It's I've signed on the dotted line. I'm congruent to my word. I'm showing up to this event, and showing up means from the time that I confirm I'm involved, I am all in with whatever it takes.
hmm
That's quite a
Yep.
mentality to maintain, and there's not many people that can consistently be congruent to such a high standard. You referenced what would Goggins do. The first thing that went through my mind was, well, he'd break both of his legs and go and do Moab. But obviously, in your case, you're not about to do that. What goes through your mind at those times when I'm guessing your body has the normal response of I've had enough now?
Yeah, I mean, but then you recover a little bit and you just have the mentality of because if I had the mentality of I'm gonna go all out and just totally exhaust myself, like your brain would subconsciously just totally down regulate after that first race and you would feel like there's no way I could do another one.
Yes.
But if you're already like mentally prepared for it. I just made sure we did it like I think 90 minutes later, and I just stayed loose, made sure got my blood sugar levels up, kind of got re-pumped back up, kind of like
Yeah.
just get a nice little dip. Don't dip
Yeah.
down too
Not
far
too
because
much
you
sitting, don't stay still for
yeah
long.
yeah don't get too relaxed. It's kind of like a track meet too. You can't just go up and have some nachos and be chilling. Like you kind of have to like stay light.
So I'm hearing strategy. There's absolutely strategy to being able to do what you did, not just on that day, but every
Mhm.
aspect of what you did leading up to being able to do that day. What are some of the things that you consider to be non-negotiables to be able to maintain such a high level of output?
I think it's having a for the physical side of things, it's just having a high standard for yourself and thinking what are you truly like capable of? Are you leaving anything left in the tank? And when you're having a high standard for yourself, the human body will always adapt to the stressors that you put upon it. As a physical therapist, we try to be more systematic about it
Mhm.
rather than just totally going out and blowing up. And how much time are you willing to put into it? So I have a family.
Mhm.
I'm not going to I'm not going to sign up for a 50-mile, 100-mile race because I'm not going to be able to give it my all in training and I'm just going to be one dimensional with my
Mhm.
training and running
Yeah.
where I want to approach this with everything I have from a physical perspective while still having a little bit of balance in my life.
So that sounds like a decision tree.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be a good way of looking at it. I kind of always think about things like a little bit of a Venn diagram, but the the image that I have in my head is me in the center, and then trying to be as balanced with the mental, emotional, spiritual, physical side of things. Uh, and you only have so much currency that can go into each one,
Yeah.
and the family is like that has to have a certain currency that you're always putting in a certain amount there, and then
Mhm.
I like to do the physical side for me, having a really good base in that. I just get more out of my mental and emotional, so that's gonna kind of feed into those other ones as
Do you
well.
show up better when you train?
Oh, 100%. I mean, just
100%.
like for my patients, for my family, everything. It's at the point where even on my days off, I like to go sit in a sauna just to do something to get that like mental side of things. 'Cause it's kind of my drug of choice, if you will. That's my what I'm addicted to, and could have a lot worse addictions.
I literally just finished recording a podcast with Detective Inspector Warren Lysart, who traveled the world and looked into the fentanyl problem globally. And he's come back and written a report on what's worked, what's not worked, what we need to be mindful of, all of these other substitute drugs that are showing up in vapes and in unexpected places, and how things have shifted in relation to that now. The messaging is one pill can kill. So when you're looking at some of the other alternatives, I mean, drugs are quite an extreme alternative. You've got alcohol and you've got cigarette smoking, which is way more acceptable because it's legal. But when you look at
Yeah.
all three of those, they all take. They're short
Mhm.
term dopamine hits, short term pleasures to fulfill desires, but they actually take. They may give neurologically, but biologically, spiritually, and physically, they take something away from you. So, by you choosing to do something physical that's good for your body, not only are you investing in your health, you're investing in your energy that you're sharing with the people around you. And I bet there are three people in your life that benefit the most from that, one of which being your wife, who you train with every morning.
We don't train together. We're at the same time.
Okay.
Occasionally we'll train together, but a lot of times it's kind of she rolls me over, and I sit there and think about my life decisions for a few minutes of why have an existential crisis for a few minutes. Then, well, I'm not going back to sleep. Get up, and then she's a lot more of a morning person. She pushes me really well, and she's usually already spinning on the Peloton as I'm like moseying
Meandering
downstairs,
in.
creaking the dust off and stuff. And then I start to then I it's just start running, and eventually it slowly needs itself out.
The body will kick in eventually. I used to
Yeah.
do that when I used to train cycle classes, and I had the 5 a.m. class. Nobody else wanted it, but I took the 5 a.m. class because that was suited to my circadian rhythm. And so you'd see people rolling in at 5 a.m. with that, I can't believe I'm here. Look, what am I doing? They get on the bike and they're tired and they're cranky and they look like they've literally just woken up. Some girls would come in after being at the club the night before. They
Oh
still got the
wow.
makeup all over the house, the face, and the stamp on the wrist, and you're looking at them going, "Was it a good night?" And they're like, "Yeah, it was great." I'm like, "Okay, great. Are you right to do this?" I'm fine. I'm like, "Okay."
Good on them. Get a little booze smell in the room and stuff.
There was plenty of sweat in that room, that's for sure.
Yeah, the
So,
5 a.m. crew is just different though. And
yes.
I had the 5 a.m. crew at Orange Theory when I was teaching there, and they're like similar to the 5 a.m. CrossFit crew. When I'm in there, it's not as much nice chit chatting and stuff. People are there to get it done
Yeah.
and get out of there, and they're a lot more smiley afterwards and stuff. But yeah, you got to
Yes.
get them moving.
Yeah, my theory is if I'm getting up at 4:30 in the morning, I'm getting something out of it.
Yes, 100%.
I'm not showing up just to tick a box and say I showed up. I may as well sleep. So I'm going to get there. I'm going to give it everything that I've got, and I'll feel better for it sometime later.
Yep, exactly. And it just sets up your day. You already did like you did the hard thing, and it's just going to set the trajectory in a positive way for the rest of your day.
I'm glad that you mentioned that actually, because positivity is not just about mindset, it's also about energy and the flow of energy that we have through our body. And as you no doubt know, physical exertion is the best way to increase your energetic frequency, allowing you to feel so much better, not just through the endorphins, but also because you show up differently in life, which is what you've just alluded to. Has your wife ever mentioned how much better you are after you train if you have a break?
I guess we would know if we took breaks from training. I've never stopped. I'll take like a more of a deload week and everything, and
Hmm.
you're down a little bit more, or like after really exerting yourself. But you could just tell that we're just functioning on all cylinders when we get our exercise in, even if it's just like a recovery day, 30
Hmm.
minutes, something to just get your nervous system and improve your recovery capacity. Um,
Yeah.
just that alone. But yeah, I've I've never stopped since I started as a kiddo.
Wow. So you have the no days off mentality
Well, like a day off here and
here
there
and
and stuff,
there.
or yeah, like little times off here and there, but I've never really like I've never taken like a month off of training or anything like that, like a few
Nothing
weeks
significant.
or anything. Maybe probably like a week at the most,
Mhm.
maybe somewhere in there, especially when you have things like the flu or COVID or any of name your respiratory illness. Like, yeah, you'll that's just eventually that's what keeps me doing my deload weeks.
And how does that work for you with your patients? Are you able to pass that enthusiasm for exercise onto your patients?
I wish that was the case, and I try to exude that a little bit. But every patient you meet them where they're at, you're trying to show up and have a little bit higher frequency. If you have too high of a frequency coming in, or you're too bubbly, it's almost like a repellent. You
Mm.
know, you kind of you meet them wherever they're at, and then you slowly build them up, and you kind of like pour into them throughout the session as you get them exercising and moving more. Or, you're maybe someone's a little hot to trot and they're in a lot of pain that day. You do more of the hands-on work and make sure and just finish with something small, always trying to do something to bring them up. But yeah, you try to pour into every patient, or you're doing your patient a disservice.
I like that. You're looking after them physically plus also energetically just by being mindful of how they're showing up.
Yeah, and from a mental perspective too, you're trying to talk to them about, okay, where are they at mentally? You got Joe, who's a truck driver who smashes Mountain Dew and burgers and hasn't ever thought about exercising, and he has back pain and he moves like a board. Like, I'm not you're not going to get that person to exercise as much. But I always allude it to, hopefully you brush your teeth every day. You have your hygiene for your teeth. You have your muscle hygiene as well. We focus on the main areas that will be the most bang for their buck, and that's their muscle homework. That's their muscle hygiene, and they just have to do that consistently to try to, or else the cycle is going to repeat itself. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So you got to do something.
Something.
And in a perfect world, everyone's in there for, I think the average is 15 visits, somewhere in there. And then
Mhm.
they're on an exercise routine after that. And they come back in to get a refresher biannually, but not
Right.
everyone's like that.
Okay. So you are able to turn some people around. That's great.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
get some people, and some people think it's like so far gone for them. And you have people who are like, I'm gonna have to get surgery, and you have all this like
Mm.
doom and gloom from the healthcare system that's been talked to them, and they're, oh, my back's just so worn out from all this stuff. And what you're seeing in a lot of research is like the biomechanical model isn't the whole picture, and there's some
Wow.
other rocks that we can move to help them live a healthier life. So some of them we get back into it, and just setting some goal. Some people that's a I want to do a 50K.
Mhm.
Some people that's a I want to pick up my grandkid, like
Yeah.
wherever they're at. And those are the big ones for us.
There was a great video that was circulating on socials about 12 months ago, and it's grandpa, very tall, very frail, but physically capable, and he's lifting up a kettlebell. And
Oh,
it's not a
I love
heavy
that one.
kettlebell. Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's
It's
super cute.
it's
He's
brilliant.
like pushing it out, and you don't
Yeah.
know what he's pushing it out for. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
And then you
yeah.
see him
Those are the
picking up the child, and we go, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I love that. It's such a good translation for functional movement. I interviewed a guy recently, Dan Ford. I've dubbed him the kettlebell man because he does kettlebell workouts. And we had a conversation about typically we move in two planes. And what we're
Mhm.
actually doing is forgetting about how much functional movement we're actually minimizing by not putting, I can't do it at the moment, the sore from the gym, but putting your arms straight out,
That's
right?
the
When
old
we,
CrossFit.
yeah, well, welcome to CrossFit, right? This is the scars we wear. But just putting your arms straight out and extending your levers, as we call it in the aerobic world, we don't often do that with our arms. I mean, we do it with our legs, but then when is the last time, for instance, someone who doesn't go to the gym did a hang and literally hung on a bar and let their spine decompress? It's
Hmm.
so many little things that we forget how to do that actually increases our poor experience for aging.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, especially bodybuilding, had just such a big impact on what people perceive as fitness. And a lot
Mm,
of there's like the hierarchy of fitness, and as people are getting into it, you're trying to improve all cause mortality or lose weight, and then eventually there's like the mirror muscle people, and then if you like really take a step back and look at your movement, like how many people are just purely sagittal plane, like just
mm.
straightforward straight back. They're like, there's a bunch of other planes and we don't move in that. Like look at it from a 3D perspective.
Yeah.
Like God forbid you do some thoracic rotation.
Oh my gosh. No, my back
Yeah,
hurts, doctor. I can't do that. No, I'm not doing a Cossack squat. That looks wrong.
yeah.
You got your Cossacks, and it's like, well, there's sideward plane, and you've got your ankle movement, and you've got your hips. And it's like, no, no, I can't get down. Well, you can't get down because you don't do it. It doesn't mean you can't. That's your body saying we need help here.
Yep. But there is like something, if you go too far in that direction, you have these like super flow, like this is the only way. And if you lift weights, you're not going to move effectively. And it's like, well, when they do the research on that, and the people who lift heavy weights have a better translation in their sport. So you don't want to go too far into the all I do is throw around this ball back and forth. You still need to lift heavy weights. You just need to
Yes.
complement it with those other movements as well too.
Keep it all
Uh,
going. Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
great example of what we should be doing. My specialist actually suggested to me that I need to stop lifting weights, and it's time for me to progress out of heavy impact like
Oh
CrossFit. And
no.
so obviously I went and found a new specialist.
Yep.
Like, okay, you're not my person. You and I are going to constantly butt heads about this. So you stay there, and I'm going to go find somebody else.
I just want to really educate those healthcare providers and the doom and gloom that they put into people, and words that harm, words that heal. You just set them placebo in the wrong direction, and
Mm,
that's a lot of what we do as physical therapists. Is you're trying to undo the other healthcare education that they've got.
mm,
Like I had a patient who's a friend as well, and he was told, like, so he had some disc bulges in his spine, and
mm.
he was multiple ones. And
Oh,
what that person doesn't realize is that that's normal. Like I have some now. There's research like 70 to 80% of people that are asymptomatic in their 20s have something abnormal in their neck. no symptoms, no nothing. That's a
Yeah.
high percent of 20-year-olds. And they're like, so wrinkles on the outside are normal. As you get age, that's going to be reflected on the inside as well too. So imaging just isn't like the whole picture. And uh, they told him no bending, lifting, twisting. Uh, Good luck.
Wow.
It's like you condemned him to like Frankenstein's monster for the rest of your life. Like, are you kidding me? Like, no, no. That's the worst advice you could
Absolutely
give.
no.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
like, I mean, how long was he going to wander around? Like, let's say someone who's not as educated. I mean, they're going to think that they got jelly donuts in between their spine, and that jelly's going to pop out at any moment. The
Oh, wow.
fear that goes into that, and uh, that is just the wrong message that people should be getting about their bodies.
Absolutely. And I'm so glad that you touched on that because there are so many messages out there about health and fitness and what our bodies can do and should do. When we've got the Goggins message, where, obviously David makes everything possible. We
So
also
much.
understand that David has a little bit of cray cray and we love him for it, but not everyone's going to be a David Goggins because not everybody wants to be investing that amount of time, effort, etc., not to mention physical pain and commitment. And then you've got right at the other end where people will just believe anything that they're told. And it's, well, my doctor told me, so I'm just going to believe it because it fits my narrative. So I can't bend, lift, twist. I can't hold the baby. I can't walk the stairs. I can't carry the groceries. I can't because my doctor said that I couldn't.
Yeah, they always say, you know, bone on bone, or this is the worst one I've seen, and it's really like affirming that patient, and it's like, yeah, I knew my body was so messed up. It's from all this living that I did, and it's there's a lot of people who needed total hips and total knees, and it's like they were just on their porch drinking sweet tea. It's like biomechanically, that person did not wear that down. There's more going on there from a
Yes.
neuroendocrine immune perspective and stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
But we're happy to fix things quickly, right? It's okay. If I need a knee replacement, sure, doc, give me a knee replacement. If I need this, if I need that, sure, give me that. And I'm always very grateful for the people that go and get a second opinion. It's, well, my
mhm.
specialist said, but I'm just going to go and double check it.
Yeah, and some people like truly do need it. Like, don't get me wrong, but there there are some people that just get really poor education, and if you could save yourself from a surgery by just trying some extra activity, a little self discipline, some good eating,
Mm.
the world would be a better place. But not it takes work and it takes effort and discipline, and that's more than most want to do.
And I think that's
Most people
exactly the
want to do.
point. That's
Yeah.
exactly how we end up where we are, right? We're so busy, we're so distracted, there's so much going on in the world that we're looking for the easy fix to solution the problem. And if the problem is I have pain, take pain relief, that's the easy fix. Not recognizing that in fact that pain's not going to go away. What you're doing is masking the body's warning system to you that there is a problem.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
I
It's
did
a.
a
I'll go for it.
no, no, go ahead.
Yeah. It's and your body has its own painkillers, and you can doing a little activity, you get like a small dose that's the equivalent of a little bit of morphine. So it's like a bell curve, but you get the right amount of activity. I think it was like
Mhm.
the equivalent of walking 6 miles
Okay.
is like taking one dose of a pain pill. Um, Obviously being super vague because I don't remember like the very
Yeah.
specifics of it, but your body has its own endogenous opioids. So if you tap into that via good old exercise, you can you can access that a little bit too, but it just
I
takes the
love
work.
that. That's a good reminder for us that our bodies is our own pharmacy. We have a pharmacy internally which can give us everything that we need. It's just up to us to understand how to use it and to also how to refuel it. Because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, if we are not fueling our bodies correctly, then our pharmacy can't work to its full capacity.
If you think about what cell turnover and how what your body is now versus 5 years from now is literally what you eat and what you're exposed to. If you
Mm.
really like think about that and let that settle in, it makes you look at food just a little differently. And everyone loves like the car analogy, and you got a Ferrari and you want to put the good fuel in it. But I mean, you're literally made of what you expose yourself to and what you eat and everything. So you do want to make sure like throw some greens in and some fiber, and just try to eat a little balance of it, and have your dessert and stuff too. Just make sure you have the good stuff before.
Yeah, it's not about complete abstinence, it's about being morally responsible.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You want to do your future self a service.
I'm so glad that you use that reference because that's actually a reference that I use a lot about your future self. Everything that you do now is sowing the seed for your future self. Matthew McConaughey mentioned that in a speech that he did. Who's my hero? My hero is me in 10 years. Who am I
Oh yeah,
looking
yeah, yeah.
after? Me in 5 years. Because the person that I am now is either opening or closing the gate for my experience in 5 years' time. And I say to people, the experience that you're having now is a result of the decisions that you made before. So if you don't like the experience you're having now, you need to make different decisions.
100%. If you don't change, nothing changes. If nothing changes, like
Yeah.
you got to break the cycle, and you got to set yourself up, and you need to be systematic about it.
Such a great thing to say. Significantly harder to live by, though.
Yeah, I mean, doing anything, setting a new habit is always uncomfortable. I like that James Clear and all the books and things that I'm sure your listeners and stuff talk about. We're in a YouTube world. If you are really on the fence about a book, look up the animated summary of it, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that. Or I do that all the time to refresh some of these stuff. So like with Atomic Habits with James Clear, you know, just just putting your stuff out to work out,
Yep.
but not working out, and slowly building the habit. And or you can just cold turkey it, and eventually your body's going to get used to it. It's like that 3 week time frame usually when people drop off, and then eventually it becomes a habit, and it's part of the norm and everything. You just
Yeah.
have to push through, and it's not always going to be easy.
And I think that's really important for us to remember that it's not going to be easy and to set ourselves that expectation. We are going to meet resistance. It's going to be emotional resistance, mental resistance, physical resistance, but to always be focused on the end goal, what you will get after you do the workout, what you will get after you've completed the run, how much better you will feel as opposed to staying in bed if you exercise. What it gives you and what it delivers to you should always be the focus as opposed to the small amount of pain that you're going to experience while you're enduring the activity.
Yeah, exactly. I always like the analogy that we're like ships, and you want to have a you want to have a destination for your ship. So I always like that. Be it Stephen Covey's like beginning with the end in mind,
Yeah,
uh, having that idea of what does your future self look like, what's
yeah,
your 3 to 5 year, and how's that, like meditating on that. How does that feel? What does that look like? So when I was trained for like the half marathon I did last year, I was thinking about it. And it's like, what is that going to feel like? And actually envisioning like when it gets challenging and how you're still going to push through it. Like not only think about the benefit of it, but envisioning, yeah, this is going to be
yeah.
the discomfort that I will feel in that, but this is my end goal. This is how I'm going to function down the road.
Perfect. Yeah, don't focus on the experience, focus on what it gives you.
Hmm.
Absolutely agree. Talking of experiences, you've had a couple of hiccups in your life, a couple of experiences that have, been far from ideal. And when you and I initially spoke, you shared some pretty upsetting news about some of the experience that you had when you were a young guy. And I believe that you were still in primary school when you had your first unexpected physical sickness.
Yeah, I had cancer when I was a kiddo. I was 10, and I was in soccer and baseball at that time,
Mhm.
uh, and I just kept getting this pretty brutal stomach pain, and it's like, "Oh, what's going on?" And, "You're a kid, so nothing's wrong with you. Just pull up your bootstraps and keep going." And then eventually I had a lump, and, "Wow, that's not normal. Let's get you into
Mhm.
the hospital." And, it really progressed fast, and once they figured out what it was, here in Billings, Montana, they hadn't seen it was a really rare type of cancer known as Burkitt's lymphoma. It's interesting, in PT school, we are going over it, and it's the second fastest growing cancer alive, and
Wow.
its doubling rate when you grow a billion cells. Like breast cancer is around 30 days,
Right.
give or take, depending on the time. Uh, Burkitt's lymphoma is 24 to 36 hours. It can grow a billion cells. So it can double its size in
Wow.
24 to 36 hours. So it was wrapped around my small intestine, around my ileum, and it was just constricting everything. So I was probably so backed up. They needed to get me down to Denver right away, and I was still, running up the escalators before, and then I'll never forget kind of the somber tone, the fear. You're a kiddo, and just seeing how life's about to be real different. And right after that surgery, I've always had difficulties with anesthesia, uh, being a redhead and everything. I just
Is that a
struggled
thing?
breathing. Yeah, yeah, redheads
Really?
need, I think, 15% more, somewhere around there. They need more, anesthesia,
Well, there you
and
go.
I've always struggled with, breathing afterwards, and
Mhm.
I just, like, struggling to breathe, and you got a mask on, and you're hitting bumps, and your abs hurt, so I go to
Mhm.
sit up, but I've been sliced through recently, and so they're like pushing me down to like stay down, and it's just like resisting, and you're confused. And
Mhm.
yeah, I'll never forget uh, moments like that where, I mean, it's childhood cancer is a very sad thing, and but the silver lining, like looking back on it, is it's a because of how fast growing it is, from what I understand. I'm not an oncologist or anything. It was a very aggressive, fast chemotherapy. So I missed the whole last month of my fourth grade, pretty much the whole summer going into my fifth grade. I was going through chemotherapy. I had a toxic reaction to my third chemotherapy session. So I scheduled for four, and I was just burning up. My mom took me in, and then I started third spacing, which is where you don't have a measurable blood pressure, and you kind of like your pressure of all the blood in your organs loses its capacity, and you start to bleed from the inside out. And so
Wow.
I had brutal stomach pain. My kidneys shut down, and I was so miserable, and I couldn't drink water in case they had to operate.
Right.
And my lung collapsed from the blood pooling in. My left lung collapsed, and so they got a tube in there, and they had to put a nasal gastric tube in while I was awake, uh, which is like semi traumatizing, and couldn't get any IVs in, things like that. And I remember a lot of the seriousness of that moment going down to Denver Children. We were on the median rushing in the ambulance to like get me into the hospital and stuff. And I remember my mom; she was always by my side the whole time, and she kind of had this panicked look, and she called back, and the only thing I there's nothing in her power that she could do. As she called back and got a prayer chain flowing, and uh, somehow I'm still here. It's pretty. I spent a lot of time in the ICU down there, and then slowly worked out of it. I didn't eat for pretty much a month while I was down there and just sickly and everything, and slowly worked my way out of it. And I started, you know, my, I'd just sit there and watch TV, SpongeBob specifically, because they had 8 channels and 2 were Spanish. And back then, ESPN was on repeat the whole time. And
Gosh.
it was pretty rough. And my mom said, you can't just sit here all day. We have to get up and walk
Yeah.
around a little bit. And I'd get up, and my workout was literally walking in my hospital room. I'd do a few circles, get nauseous, sit back down, and
Yeah.
repeat a few hours later. And then slowly worked up to walking up and down the halls and walking at the hospital. And then when I got home, I'd walk up and down the block and around the block. And then eventually, I guess that's when I started setting goals for physical things, because we went out and mapped out a mile, and we had the presidential physical fitness test is what they did. You do all sit-ups and all pull-ups and things like that. And all of that I was pretty good at, but we had the mile as a fifth grader, and I ran a mile every day at 6, 7 o'clock, something like that, and I just go as fast as I could. So that's how you get faster in the mile. You just do the mile every
Yeah.
day.
It's,
And
it's true.
yeah, and I started working out at that point, and I basically haven't stopped since.
Yeah. Wow. It's it sounds like your mum was quite influential for you in that period of time.
Yeah, both of my parents were super supportive. My mom just stayed next to me to be there with through me with it all. But then my dad was rounding up my little sister and 2 brothers and
Yeah.
heading down there. We had support from family friends and things like that that would visit us from time to. One of them actually visited me in Denver and everything like that. But yeah, I had good support. My mom was both of my parents were hard workers.
Yeah.
My mom was kind of she said that's where she's mainly Irish, and we're very Northwest European, and my dad's mainly German, and she's a Iowa farm girl. So she's always, whatever she's done, she's always been hard work is the
Yeah.
greatest equalizer, is what they kind of always told us
Yeah.
growing up.
That is a fantastic work ethic to be brought up with, the whole mentality of it needs to get done, get it done.
Yeah, yeah, no excuses, just you got to get it done.
No story, no excuses, no feelings required, just get it done.
Yeah, but I was a super normal middle school and high schooler. I like to challenge myself physically, but my work ethic for actual work was not. That needed more. That really
Isn't it
came
interesting
in.
how our work ethic can shift based on how much we like what we're doing? Suddenly we're the most studious, we're the most disciplined, we are the most committed to something that we love, and then something that we don't love shows up and it's like, not
Yeah,
really that keen to do that.
yep, yeah, exactly. So it's not like I was just this super disciplined kid. I worked really hard in for the sports in the seasons that I did. But by the time I got to the end of that season, I was ready to move on to the next sport. I don't know how these kids do sports year round. I think it's just so sad specializing in one thing, unless that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
Good on them. The movement patterns and things like that. I just wish that kids just did more sports and did it like it was fun, like the
Yeah.
Norwegians apparently do. I got a little bit of that in my blood as well.
Right.
Maybe that's where my endurance stuff comes from. Who knows?
Maybe. You do it for the sake of it, not for the prize.
Yep. Yeah.
Go for the prize, train for the prize, plan to win the prize, but that's not the reason you do it.
I think you have to have a dissociation with the
Yeah.
prize, because at the end of the day, it's you versus you. And if you get a prize, like that's cool, but there's always people out there who are bigger, faster, stronger, more equipped. Like you're really this might be like mean to say, but you're not that special. I'm not that special. Like, so you're really just competing against yourself, and you're just trying to get a better version of yourself. If you
Yeah,
happen to be the best that day, that's cool, but
yeah,
it's not really because if all I think about is winning, I get too hyper focused on that, and it's truly about just bettering yourself in
yeah.
whatever capacity.
I like what you said there. If you happen to be the best that day. And that's a discernment that's very important. It means on the day when we showed up and we competed, I won. I was the best
Yeah,
on that day. I get to hold the title for that day. And if we do the same thing again, I will need to then prove that I am the best again. But I was the best once. And this is this continuous verification to self of I'm capable of this. I want to constantly be capable of this. So I'm going to show up, I'm going to do the thing, I'm going to put my gym gear out the night before, I'm going to run the mile purely because I've seen what I'm capable of. And if I'm capable of that, then one, I want to try and at least maintain it. And if I work really hard, I will probably better it. And then when I better it, I want that to be my new baseline. And
yeah,
it's this
that's the
constant
new
growth.
standard.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like that. That's something that we find a lot these days that standards vary and it's quite often associated with how much interest you have in something. People will call it a standard where it's really just an interest. And so I want to go and do this thing and they'll go and do it and when it gets hard they'll back off or excuses will start to slip in as to why they don't train as often or as hard. And we're all happy to get something done when it's fun and when it feels easy and within our comfort zone, within our tolerance. But as soon as it starts to push outside of our tolerance, that's when we start pushing against ourselves, saying, "Well, do you really want to do this? I don't like this feeling. This is not enjoyable at all. I don't want to keep doing this." And you start to fight within yourself and that inner monologue, depending on how much airtime you give it, can actually completely direct your life into an oblivion and you miss out on what you could possibly have been.
I feel like people you always need to wrestle with that. And I don't know if you're really pushing yourself, I guess, if you're not wrestling with those thoughts. I mean, I have like everyone has those. I feel like a lot of people have those thoughts when they're training, or, oh, there's a lot of times it's like, what are we doing here? I'm out here, it's raining, and it's like, hor- uh, the weather's not the best, and it's early in the morning, and you're like, what am I really doing? So I feel like you have to have those like mini crises mentally to
Mm,
really solidify like, no, I'm trying to improve myself in one way, shape, or form,
yeah.
or maintaining. I mean that's perfectly fine as well. Because when you get to a peak level or you get to a really high level, like
Yeah.
maintaining that's pretty sweet, especially as you age. Like you get to a sweet or a great peak level, and you just maintain that the best you can. So you're
So
not
am I
one of
hearing
those
you right
guys.
then? You're telling me that the hard work is in gaining the level of fitness and the easy work is maintaining it.
I would say that it's easier than gaining. That's for sure.
Ah, there we
It's
go.
Yeah, it's easier than gaining, but there's so many. I mean, just working in gyms and stuff, I've had thousands of conversations with, and I always love the old guys saying, "Yeah, back in my day," and I always
I
wonder,
think I'm one
like,
of those people now.
he said, like, I wonder how badass they used to actually be. Some of them, you can tell how much honesty is. Some they're blowing smoke a little bit and stuff too. Uh, but it's really cool the occasional unique diamonds that are. It's age is just in your mind, and they're still challenging themselves and going out and
Absolutely.
getting after it.
I
Yeah,
think more than
I think
ever.
those people are so cool. They're just a breath of fresh air. When it's like, yeah, back in my day, but my knees, my hips, my this that, and
No,
it's all
that's me.
always
That's me. I've been training CrossFit for 2 decades and damn it, my wrist, it kills me, but I'm still here.
very impressive. That's very impressive. Most people don't make it that far in CrossFit or that disciplined in it.
I think it's just the
the whole,
obsession, right? When you find something that you thoroughly enjoy despite the pain, and community makes a huge difference.
yeah,
As
that's
you
100%.
referenced it, you when you said you were sick, the first thing Mum did was she reached out to her people and they prayed for you. And that's the strength of community, the power of having people around you that support you. Faith has obviously always been a part of your life. Is it
Hmm.
still a
Yeah,
strong part of you as a family unit now?
yeah, it's absolutely huge. My son Dax is 4, and my daughter Ari is 5 months. So,
Mm.
uh, as they're getting older, it's like I was more I wasn't really involved with the church even when I was out in school and everything. I always kind of just did my own practice and things like that. And getting involved with a really small community is really important. Having that sphere of influence with those small groups and someone who can people who can help you out. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's something that there's so much in every book of the Bible. There's so much in the Old Testament, New Testament, and actually, I'm almost done with my first way through the Bible. I've been a Christian this like whole time, and I remember when I had cancer and feeling sorry for myself, and I was just like up in my room by myself crying out to God, like, why me? Why me? And I'm asking these questions, and so I even had a prayer practice back then. Have never worked my way through the Bible chronologically, and the only way that it's made successful is downloading the Bible app and having someone walk through it with you and give
With you.
context and explaining things,
Yeah.
because you get to Numbers and Deuteronomy and it's like, oof,
Oof. Yeah, and 1500-year gap, 40 men, three different languages, and then,
he
Daniel will
begat,
refer
he
to
begat,
something that
he.
links in with Isaiah, that links in with Revelation, and you're there going, I'm sorry, what? Just, you just
Yeah.
don't start a Revelation, because if you start with that thing, you're not going to bother with any of the others. It's just, this is gibberish, I'm out.
Yeah, and it's cool to see how much cross referencing it has, and you're seeing like little tidbits of you know Jesus and Spirit, and the whole overarching look at how God pursues His people the throughout the Old Testament, and then it is finished with Jesus, and now I'm kind of in like the going through the synoptic gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I was like, yeah, this is peak. And then afterwards it's like not quite as cool, but it's still really important, and it's
Acts is really messy,
that's
right? And then Paul starts
yeah,
writing the letters to the Corinthians, and you're just there going, okay, but I don't get it. And if you don't have that context on what was going on during that period of time, then the stories really seem to lose the whole meaning. And for me personally, I connect with them a lot better when I understand what was going on.
yeah, you have to, the context is key. Like, you have to
Yeah.
know the context for which that verse is. Everyone likes to pick and choose these sexy verses
John
and everything.
3:16. Has everyone ever read John 3:17? No.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So everyone likes to choose those verses, and I think it's really important to have a clear picture of like who that was written out for, who was
Yeah.
the author, and who was it intended for. So I
I'm very
that
grateful for
that
that.
is very very important
Yeah,
to me, and
absolutely.
so I'm almost through my first year of that, but that faith, that's really what's kind of kept me grounded
Mm,
all this time.
I love that. You said it beautifully, to have a God that constantly pursues us.
Uh, that and you see that's the reason that a lot of those stories are in the Bible, is you see someone who has had everything absolutely taken from them, and then him or her, and they make that choice to repent and better themselves and come back to that source, back to it, and yeah, I mean, that's huge in Christianity. No one's ever
Absolutely.
too far gone, and I'm sure it's like that in a lot of other religions. That's just the one that I'm versed with, and that's how I was raised.
I love it. And whatever religion you choose, you want to make sure that you're committed to it completely, right?
Yep, exactly, exactly.
If you were to speak to somebody who's watching this episode right now, who looks at you and says, well, that's all well and good for you, but I can't do that, what advice
Mhm.
would you have for them?
I would focus on. I like the idea of internal, external world. Uh, there's only so much that you can control in the external world. The more you focus on your internal world and improving that, the more resilient that is, the less difficult the external is. And the stronger this you are internally, the more resilient, the less difficulty you're going to have with all those challenges outside of your control.
Brilliant. Well said. Well, guys, that comes to the end of our episode today. If you like, subscribe, share this conversation. Ethan demonstrates the qualities of an uncommon man, and I'm immensely glad that you have decided to join us today, Ethan. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor, and I hope that this speaks to some of your listeners.